We've done the cheap gifts. Let's go through kids' toys that are actually worth the money from a mom/former teacher. Magnet tiles and Picasso tiles. These are expensive, but they are worth every penny. Your kids will play with them for years. I really love these Picasso tile tracks. I bought these for my kids' Christmas 2, maybe 3 years ago, and they still play with them to this day, almost every day. These are going to be one of my kids' big gifts this year, the large hollow blocks. These are really big. At the preschool I work at, kids play with these every single day, and they're completely different things every day. Sometimes they're ramps for cars. Sometimes they build a table out of them. One time, a little girl built like a shopping checkout counter with them. Do not underestimate how much kids love to dress up. My 5 and 6-year-olds still dress up every single day. Boys and girls, it doesn't matter. Melissa and Doug make really good dress ups, and there's tons of dress ups online. These aren't super expensive, but wooden train tracks. You can buy these for a 1-year-old, you could buy these for a 5-year-old. They will play with them. I bought these tracks when my son was 1, and he is almost 7, and he still plays with them. But when you get trains for them, do not get the plastic hook together trains. Get the magnetic trains that connect with magnets, because those hooks, they get stretched out and they won't hook together anymore, and it will cause a lot of frustration.
5 ways to raise mentally strong children from a licensed therapist. Number 1, love unconditionally when correcting behavior. When disciplining them, remind them that your love for them doesn't waver based on their actions. This steady support gives them the confidence to explore the world, knowing they always have someone to rely on emotionally. Number 2, set and stick to boundaries. Boundaries teach children respect and accountability. Following through with them shows that rules aren't negotiable, setting them up to become respectful and responsible adults. Number 3, praise their effort, not just success. Dr. Carol Dweck's research shows that praising effort fosters a growth mindset, while praising talent alone creates a fixed mindset. Instead of saying, "You are so smart," try saying, "Great job studying." This helps kids focus on resilience and improvement, not just outcomes. Number 4, don't solve all their problems. When kids face challenges they can handle, let them work through it. Stepping in too quickly can make them feel like they can't solve issues on their own, ultimately lowering their self-esteem and independence. And number 5, weekly positive scavenger hunt. Dedicate time each week for a positive scavenger hunt where they share genuinely positive events from their day and why they were meaningful. Encourage 2 to 3 extra moments once they run out. This practice trains their brains to automatically look for the good in life.
Make your kids tough, which they better be if they're going to survive in the world. You can't interfere when they're doing dangerous things carefully.
Think about it that specifically. Dangerous things carefully. Yep. That's such a place where kids learn.
That is the only place they learn. That's where everyone learns everything. When you're doing dangerous things carefully, man, that's where you learn. And so you interfere with that. You interfere with the process by which your children expand their competence. And it takes courage not to interfere with.
So your kid did something real bad, and now you want to teach them a lesson, give them some punishment, consequence, discipline, so that they never do that again. Here's why your punishment is going to fail every single time, and everything you need to know about the brain nervous system, and yes, that punishment loop that you're stuck inside of, in order to step outside of it and get your kids to cooperate once and for all. The first thing you need to know about is the brain and nervous system. There's 3 parts of the brain that really matter here. The first one is the prefrontal cortex, is right here. It's the last part of the brain to develop. What's really important for parents is that this is where language lives, where rational thought lives. And so in order to do any learning grounded in language and rational thought, you got to have access to this part of the brain. Next part of the brain that really matters for this conversation is the limbic system. This is kind of the seat of the emotions. One of the main roles of this part of the brain is to scan the environment, make a snap, 2-second decision. Am I safe or am I not safe? Now, this is not where language lives. So that decision is not going to be grounded in language. That decision is grounded in feeling and emotion and tone and body language. Okay, split-second decision without words. The last part of the brain I want you to know about is right here. It's the base of the brain. And you'll see here going down the nervous system, right? And this governs like automatic functions, breathing, heartbeat, blinking, stuff that you're born doing, body language. What does all this matter for behavior? Language, learning, impulse control, all the good stuff is up here. And so if you're reactive, you're hitting, kicking, yelling, punching, screaming, you're likely to be down here. And the parent's role is to get you back up here. Now, how do you do that? Let me tell you, it's not through consequences. And to talk about this piece, I really have to show you something called the punishment loop. It goes like this, okay? Your kid pushes their sibling and you yell, or maybe you just have a little bit of tone in your voice and they go. So what's happening in the brain? Okay, you're like, oh, I gotta get reactive because this child is hurting my little one. And so, oh, I gotta yell. And you yell and the kid gets scared. You knock them out and you're yelling into this part of the brain system, right? They're responding to your tone and your language. And so they get a little scared and they shut down. You, dear parent, get reinforced. Aha, that yelling worked. But the child has not done any learning. So what's going to happen next? We haven't taught them any way to manage the feeling. And so they're probably going to push again. And when they do push again, dear parent, you're going to reference what happened last time, which was what was in your body. Your experience was that you yelled and then they stopped. And you, dear one, are very, very likely to then yell again. So you yell again, but children are super, super resilient. And so your child is going to continue doing this, right? Because they just got used to you yelling. And you're going to feel to yourself, wait, they're not doing it. I need to do it more. And so you're going to yell even louder. And maybe you yell loudly enough that your child does this again. They get scared and they stop. And you get reinforced. Or yelling. And so again, you get reinforced, but again, there's no learning. You haven't taught this child what to do instead of pushing the sibling or whatever it is that's provoking this happens. And so you're going to have the same thing again. You're going to have it again. And then what happened? Oh, wait, I had these other experiences where I got reinforced for yelling. So I'm going to yell, but oh, my child is really resilient. So they're, I don't care. I'm just going to tune her out. So then you're going to have to yell even bigger in order to get this result. And you know what's going to happen? Finally, you're going to yell or scream loud enough that they're going to shut down. And then here you are in the cycle. And you will continue around and around in the cycle. Because when you are screaming at your child or doling out a punishment, that scares them because you've got tone and you're yelling and you're mad or you've got your body language like this. Remember, this part of the brain is not reading words. So you may well be giving your child a lesson while you're yelling, but they're not going to process it because you have scared them. And until you are willing to step outside of this, and the way that we're going to do that, we're going to get out of this punishment loop by stopping right here. Okay? I do not expect the child to be the first one to stop. I expect you to be the first one to stop. So you're not going to yell the first time, or you're not going to yell out a punishment the first time. You know what you're going to do instead? You're going to come over here and you're going to think to yourself, who is this kid? And what does this child actually need in order to regulate? And what is regulation? The act of regulating is you're down here in your brain. This is where you're kind of driving from. You gotta get back up here. This is where the good stuff is, remember? Language, learning, impulse control, judgment, all the good stuff for learning, not to hit your sibling. Okay? And so you're going to use your own nervous system in order to help your child do this arc. When you do this, then you get to do the teaching. And that is the time when you teach your child not to do this. Not when you're in this crazy loop going around and around and around and everyone's screaming at each other. It's never going to work. You have to step out of this. This is the people who have this. They come to me and they say, you know what? My kids will not listen to me unless I'm screaming my head off. They only care if I'm yelling. Yes, because you're in a punishment loop, a yelling cycle. Friends, you've got to work with your child's biology and with your own. Now, there are two things that I want you to do today. Okay? I want you to comment here. Regulation 1 and consequences 1. And I'm going to send you 2 master classes. And yes, I want you to watch both of them. And then I want you to comment here on what stands out to you. Okay, what do you need in order to discipline your child? Where discipline means to follow. The first thing you need to do is stop screaming. And then you got to help them get back to a place of regulation so that you can discipline them, that you can teach them so that they will follow you. Consequences 1, regulation 1. You absolutely have what it takes to parent your child. It's not going to be perfect, but it can be a whole lot better than a yelling cycle.
Here's the thing I've learned about my toddlers not listening, okay? Their age is 3 and almost 5 now, so they're like out of the toddler stage. It's very developmentally appropriate, and it's almost how they find their place in this world. But just because it's developmentally appropriate does not mean that as a gentle parent, you should not set boundaries. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't be firm with them or you shouldn't use consequences. Matter of fact, this might be a little bit of a hot take, but you are a lazy, permissive parent if you are not using consequences. I use both natural and logical consequences with my kids. Logical, I have to intervene. But again, by intervening, I'm teaching them how they relate to the world and me. Let me give you an example. My kid is throwing their food on the floor. I say, hey, please don't throw your food on the floor. They do it again. I say, okay, I'm taking your food away. You're having a hard time listening. Maybe I say, you're showing me you're done eating. Food is not for playing with. Maybe, just maybe, that leads to a full-blown meltdown. That is okay. Your job as a parent isn't to prevent the negative emotions, the sadness, the frustration, them being upset or disappointed. Your job is to let that happen and be there. Hey, I'm here for you. I will sit with you through your big feelings. I'm not going to prevent you from having them. Hell, I might even be the cause of them sometimes, but my kid knows now that 10 out of 10 times that they go to throw their food on the floor, I will take away their food. They just understood how they related to me and their food and our house. In the respectful, gentle parenting world, the analogy of being a foreigner in another country is oftentimes used. I want you to imagine yourself being picked up out of your country and dropped in a country on the other side of the world. You don't know the language, social norms, the laws. You don't know anything. This might be very overwhelming and stressful for you. You also would be having crazy tantrums every day. This is how your kid feels, but instead of them being an adult and having the ability to communicate with other adults and learn, what they have is an underdeveloped brain and a parent that they're relying on to show them the guidelines. In the foreign country, maybe you don't know and you spit your gum on the road and you get a ticket. You just learned, oh, I can't do that. That's the boundary. Now you feel more comfortable and confident roaming the streets knowing that you will not get a ticket for doing that again. Kids need somebody there to give them a ticket every single time. Somebody that's consistent and firm, not rude, not a bully. But that's why they test boundaries, right? That's why so many times you tell your kid don't do that and they look you in the eyes and they do it anyways. They're testing you. They want to see if you're going to follow through. They want to see how good of a leader you are. Are you going to teach them the same way you did last time? And it's not until you play boundary police for a little while that you develop these confident kids that know how to relate to the world, know how to behave and follow social norms. I'll say it again. You are doing your kid a disservice if you are not using consequences, if you are not following through, being consistent with boundaries. If you are not doing those things, you are a permissive parent and your problems are probably exponentially getting worse and you're upset because gentle parenting doesn't work. No, that's not gentle parenting.
How can you help your toddler or older child learn to answer yes/no questions? A few things that you can do. Sometimes no becomes very negative. It's not something that they want to hear ever, so you might want to be silly with it. While you're doing a peg puzzle and you take the farmer and you try to put it in the cat place, does the farmer go here? No. Does he go here? No. You fit him in. Does he go here? Yes, he does. That's where he goes. You can do the same thing with books. Maybe you have a picture of a tiger and you say, is this a squirrel? No. Is this a tiger? Yes. Make it a game like that. Something else you can do is ask the question and give the answer. If you know definitely it's going to be a yes or a no. Do you want some candy? Yes. Yes. Do you need help with your shoes? Yes. Do we hit? No. Now, what if your toddler is saying no when they really mean yes? Do you want some candy? No. Yes, you do. You want some candy and you give it to them. That takes the power away from that word. That takes the meaning away from that word. We want to give that word power and meaning. So when they tell you no, even when they mean yes, you're going to withdraw the thing. And when they get upset, oh, yes, yes, you did want some candy. Yes. Hope this helps. Let me know if you have any questions.
Here's some rapid-fire parenting tips to make your life a little bit easier. I have my bachelor's degree in early childhood education, my master's degree in school counseling, and I'm a stay-at-home mom as my full-time job, so I'm not qualified to give some tips. Because I am busy, you're going to have to watch me open these cans of beans while I tell them to you. Number 1, say yes to as many things as you can so that when you say no, it means more. Take 10, 15 minutes out of your day. It can be as little as 10 with no distractions where you spend it just solely focused on your child, whatever age, and it'll change their entire day. Tell other people positive things about your child in front of your child. You should not be telling your child to eat until their plate is empty or a happy plate. Eat until your belly's full. If that means a couple of bites, then that means a couple of bites. They need to learn to listen and trust their body. Also, like if you don't eat a lot of dinner and you want a snack later, okay, I do that shit all the time. On the subject of trusting their body, do not make your child hug, kiss, tell certain people goodbye. It doesn't matter if it's their grandma. My mom wanted a hug today when she saw my daughter. Can I have a hug? No. Okay, that's fine. I'm never going to force my daughter to hug someone because I would be uncomfortable as a grown adult if someone forced me to hug them. Listen to me hard on this one. You guys have got to start using the correct names for anatomy, okay? Girls have a vagina, boys have penises. I don't care if it makes you uncomfortable. You know what makes me uncomfortable? Yeah, can you read my mind? That's what's uncomfortable. Not children saying the word vagina, not children saying the word penis. Teach your kid the correct terms. Spanking your child does not teach your child the reason why they should stop doing something. It just teaches them that you are not committed to keeping them safe. You cannot force your child into being kind and helpful and thoughtful. The only thing you can do to make them be those things is to be those things yourself. They do everything through modeling. And lastly, I'm working on this one for myself. Remind yourself often that your kid is just a kid. Let them be a kid. My daughter is extremely mature and well-spoken for her age. She's only 2.5. So sometimes when she has full-on breakdown tantrums, I'm like, what the fuck? You're better than this. But the truth is no. She's 2.5. She's figuring her life out for the first time, just like we all did too. So let your kid be a kid, whether they're 2, whether they're 15. They're learning, and so are you. I have so many more thoughts and tips and tricks and things, so maybe part 2 soon. Bye.